So this is a video I really didn't want to make. I have been a lover of Sony products since at least the 90s, probably even before that. Walkman, of course. I guess how far back I go. The original Walkman, cassette Walkman. And I've had countless Sony products. One of the things that I've always loved about Sony was their products were quality. There were very few Sony products that I could recall where I had an issue with quality. Their names always sucked. I had an old school Sony tube television. It was huge. Huge for that day. I think it was maybe a 50-inch total, but it was a tube television, so you can imagine how big it was in the back. And it had its own subwoofer that sat on the back. The remote, which was very complicated, you could be sitting anywhere in the room and press the remote, and the remote would actually turn the television to face you wherever you wanted. But that's just part and parcel of some of the history that I have with Sony. Besides the fact that I used to work with a number of groups in the music industry, and those that were signed to Sony, and I had worked with some acts that were pretty big. Sony would fly us to Japan. They would give me products that were out way before the public had them, even before people in the music industry, who usually are early adopters on certain things, they hadn't seen them. All my friends in the industry were always amazed at how new the products were. They were ahead of their time. They were at least a generation, well, maybe not a generation, but a year or two ahead of what everyone else was seeing. At any rate, I now have my own small business. And one of the things that I need in my small business is ear protection, right? And I have in the past had Bose were the first headphones with noise cancellation that I could think of in the industry, and they were always good at it. And that those headphones were really nice. They plugged in very easily into the old plugs they used to have in the airline seats. I think they were called the Quiet Comfort. I don't know, maybe Quiet Comfort 2. Don't quote me on that. At any rate, they were mostly some metal, I think maybe aluminum and maybe something else, but they weren't as plasticky as they currently are. At any rate, my choices were very limited in terms of noise cancellation. It was the quintessential thing that I needed out of headphones. That being said, the second best headphones on the market in terms of noise cancellation and sound quality, probably certainly in the top 5, maybe even the top 3 for sound, overall sound quality, but certainly in noise cancellation, they came in second place. Now, all these headphones that do this are in the top 3 or in around the same price. And having had a bad experience with Bose, I chose to try Sony. So my first pair of Sonys I bought of these WF 1000 XM4, another dumb name that Sony continues to use, but it's kind of become their trademark in some ways. All of the headphones in that area at the time were in and around a 300, 350 ballpark. And so I chose to go back to Sony. And I bought my first pair of these WF, we're just going to call them XM4s instead of going through all that. The XM4s was about maybe the early part of 20 I want to say 2021. Yes, the early part of 2021. Those worked fine. Didn't have any problem with them for the most part. Unfortunately, they got washed. They were left in my pants pocket and they went into the wash machine. And although these are what they do have a sufficient IP rating, I don't think that it includes being submerged completely while being washed in your shorts. At any rate, those got lost to the game. We'll just chalk that up. And then that it was somewhere close to May of 2022, in which case I went right back out and bought another pair. Purchased them from Amazon, and they were working fine for time. My first issue with them, right, and one of the qualities that they're supposed to, one of the items that they're supposed to do is I would use one headphone if I say was just answering a call and I wanted to talk to someone on the phone, or if I'm in a house and I wanted to leave, say, one ear totally clear, because with these things there is a slight amount of reduction in noise or sound that you get from the outside world. Or maybe it's just in my head, but it feels that way. So sometimes I would just wear one. And I noticed that what was happening is that one headphone, and for this story, it was the left headphone. Suddenly one day it wasn't charged, like the battery. It was only at, say, 80% when the right one was at 100%. I said, oh, that's kind of weird. So I took them out, and in between clients, I carry them in the case and in my pocket, and I would put it back, and it wasn't fully charged. And then that 80% was reduced down to like 60%. And then it would say it's 100% charged, and it would only last 20 minutes. Then that went to 5 minutes, and then I would try and recharge it. So long story short, I sent it back to Sony, and Sony sent me another pair. I continue to wear them like I generally do, using them. I use both when I'm working with my clients where I have a lot of outside noise, like blowers and things like that, blow dryers and other loud equipment around me. I use them, and then suddenly the right ear started doing that. I'm saying, what's going on? So then I would get notification on my phone that the case was not working, or was not taking a full charge. And so I contacted Sony. It's funny because the second time I dealt with tech support, the first time I dealt with tech support, there was like no questions asked. Sounds like they're malfunctioning. Send them in to us. I did, and that wasn't a problem. Then the second time I dealt with tech support, this was over a chat. They made me go through a certain series of things that they wanted me to do to the app, take off some of the functions, which annoyed me because if you have all those functions, I pay for all those functions to work. I don't want you to then tell me to take those functions off because you're having a problem with your product. They said give it a couple of days of doing that, which I did, and of course it continued to get worse. So I sent those back. So now we're dealing with my third pair, because 2 pairs I've sent back, and if you include the one that I inadvertently, this is my 4th pair of these XM4s. And so when I get these current ones, they gave us new software, or they updated the software where you could have 2 items, 2 electronic devices connected at the same time. And I assume that's so that, say, if I'm on my phone and I then pick up my tablet, because I would just have to connect it to my tablet previously, before the software update. But now, I guess with this new software update, I can, both electronic devices are connected. So I just would shut off my phone and then shut on my tablet, and it would connect, which was fine, except some strange things were happening. I was actually connecting this to my laptop, and I would be listening to something, YouTube or something, on my laptop, and then decide I'm going to have my headphones in to play a game, and I'd switch over to my headphones, and on the laptop it would connect, and it would show that there's sound coming through, but I would not get any sound coming out, and I would literally have to reboot the laptop for it to fully connect. So what I've done is I've turned off that second device connection, so that it is like it's been in the past. But I've also noticed some strange things as well. Like I have it so that if I'm listening to something, music or a podcast, I tap the right ear, and that stops or starts the sound. And if I tap the left ear, it would kick in noise cancellation or kick out. And I think that's pretty standard. I think that's the way it comes. And I was having some problem with it responding. And having had now 4 of these, I know it's not like I'm unfamiliar with where to hit it, where to touch the headphones, but I've noticed that there's been some issues with that. And while I'll be listening to something on my phone, and got my phone in my hand, I have the headphones in, they would disconnect. Now that could be a software glitch because of the new software update, but nonetheless, after all that I've gone through, all the money, because it took me a while with the Bose to really justify, even as an audiophile, as I like to think of myself in some ways, justify spending $350 on a set of headphones. But at the time that I went into the Bose, they had a money back guarantee, or something to the effect like a period of time that you get to try them out without being charged. And of course, as soon as I put them on, noise cancellation was incredible because it was new at that time. I mean, it was with over-ear. They were over-ear headphones. They were incredible. The Bose sound, as we know, is legendary on the way that it the bass. So of course I kept them, and so having done that in the past, having spent that kind of money in the past on full over-ear headphones, I was a little hesitant to come out of my pocket for a couple of earbuds, because in my mind, this isn't $350 worth or $300 when I purchased them worth of equipment, even on material, let alone the technology. But listen, I need them, so it justified my spending the money. So I'm very disappointed. I'm not a little disappointed. I'm very disappointed in Sony. And I can tell you that at this point, this is probably going to be my last relationship, at least with these Sony XM4s. I'm probably going to try out something new like the Bose, because noise cancellation is it's important to what I do. Anyway, this is my first review, and unfortunately, it is not the review that I wanted to make. So if you gain anything from this, please like and share, and I will see you soon. Thank you.